Hey guys, Drunken Headshot here. I'm going to do a guide on Sage Telekinetics and some basics for rotations, gear, and some things you should look out for. And it's all for PvP. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like and sub, and let's get to it. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm going to go over some combat proficiencies before we get started into rotations and such. Utility points first. These are some of the basic utility points you want to go for when you go telekinetics, and but these two basically you can decide on your own. Pain Bearer is probably better for PvP. I would suggest going Pain Bearer over Tectonic Mastery, but I do this as a personal preference. I like the extra damage from Force Quake during PvE, and it does help sometimes in PvP as well. So I just suggest going through these on your own, just getting a better feel for the class and just knowing why the rotations are going to be the way they are. You got Tidal Force, which is going to refresh, or they're going to allow Telekinetic Wave to be activated instantly. Let's see here. We got Mental Momentum, which Mind Crush makes your target vulnerable, and also allows your Turbulence to have 25% chance of attacking a second time for 25% damage. And Telekinetic Momentum, which is basically the same thing but for your other force attacks, and has allows 25% chance to do 25% second attack, and also Telekinetic Wave overwhelms your target for a period of time, and the overwhelmed targets can take an additional 10% damage from area attacks, such as Force Quake or Telekinetic Wave. You have Telekinetic Focal Point, which stacks Focal Telekinetics, increasing your alacrity, stacks up to 5 times, lasts 15 seconds, and basically Telekinetic Burst will have 50% chance of proccing that, and you have Telekinetic Wave and Telekinetic Gust, which will have 100% chance of stacking that. You have Tremors, which decreases the cooldown on your mental alacrity. Mental Continuum, which will you'll see this a lot. Your Mind Wave and Telekinetic Wave will refresh your weakened minds on affected targets, and this will increase your force generation rate as well on Telekinetic Burst. And you have Telekinetic Refuge will increase your damage reduction on Telekinetic Burst. So with rotations, you want to, if you have a chance to use Mind Crush first when you start off on your target, go with the long channel on Mind Crush and then follow it up by Weakened Mind. And you can increase the amounts, or the activation of this, or decrease, I guess you could say, decrease the activation of Mind Crush with Mental Alacrity, and then you'll have a Mental Alacrity up still for Turbulence. So then before you use Telekinetic Wave, you want to use Force Potency, and that'll proc on Gust as well. So let me show you real quick. I can use Mental Alacrity on Turbulence. I should have used it before, actually. We'll do it next time. And then while Turbulence is coming up, we can use Telekinetic Burst. Why not use it twice? There we go. Watch how Telekinetic Wave instantly procs. We can use Mind Crush again. Notice how Weakened Mind continually stays up, and that's because of that passive we talked about on combat proficiencies. The longer we can keep that up, the better. Let me get this Turbulence back up. Boom. Telekinetic Wave. Back onto Weakened Mind. And you really won't have to use Weakened Mind any more than what you need to, unless you see Weakened Mind has disappeared on your target. That's when you really want to. So let's get this. Just going over some rotations. Keep in mind, if your Turbulence or anything is not up, like if your Mind Crush isn't up but Telekinetic Gust is, you can use Telekinetic Gust and just wait. There we go. See, it refreshed Weakened Mind at the last second. Now, if Weakened Mind isn't on the target, like I said, you have to pay attention to that and just throw a Weakened Mind on there. And one reason you want to keep Weakened Mind on there, it's very crucial to increasing the damage on your target. whenever weakened mind is on your target, turbulence will automatically critically hit. I didn't go over that in the passives, but it is very important to keep in mind. So you want to keep that weakened mind on them. And another thing to keep in mind is don't use force potency before you use turbulence. It's a new mistake. Mental alacrity is good. For turbulence, increases that. But since it'll automatically critically hit with weakened minds, you really do not need to use force potency before turbulence. Other than that, it's pretty much simple. Alright, there's really nothing more to it. So, in terms of gear, there's a couple different things that I would like to go over, or just one actually, one major important thing. It's really your personal preference. I have not seen much of a difference in this, but you want to go as much critical hit as possible, but you also want to go some good power. You can increase your, see this is all internal damage, and you can increase that damage by, it's automatically going to critically hit with weakened mind. You're going to use this ability a lot. And by using it a lot, you can increase the damage by increasing the amount of power you have. You can have, so basically you can just go as much force power as much as you want, but just try and go with critical hits. I would suggest, I don't have the complete sets, I'm still working on this, so don't judge me, but just if you have tier 1 or more gear, it's gonna have the correct stats that you need. So just try to go with the normal gear that you're gonna get in the game, and you'll be just fine. So one more thing that I want to cover before we jump into PvP is there's basically two ways to win, or there's two things you need to know to win PvP matches, or at least have the most chances of success in PvP matches. You can't control your teammates. They're going to make stupid decisions, and they're not going to, none of them are going to be doing very good damage. Your healers aren't going to be healing very well. Just learn to accept it, but you will have to do as much as you can with what you have. If you make mistakes, you can fix it. Your teammates make mistakes, you can't really fix that unless they're a guildie and you can coach them. But think about it this way. There is two different things: decision making and mechanics. You have the mechanics such as your rotations. It's very important because you can maximize the amount of damage you put out, or if you're a healer, you maximize the amount of heals you put out. And decision making, which is who do I target, which objective am I supposed to go for, how do I take this objective, how do I defend this objective, how do we control this objective, stuff like that. So there's different decision making processes. If you'd like, leave a comment below, let me know if you want to see those type of videos. I can put that content out, and then we can go over it more in the future. Also, leave a comment about what you think about this guide. We can, if I missed anything, please let me know. That's really great. It's very helpful for me. It also helps me put out more DPS, which I'm always appreciating. So, without further ado, though, let's jump into PvP.
Quiet like the ocean, oh, your treasure hidden down below. As silent as it come, I know. Should I be scared if you stay or go? Tell me, am I insecure? Just overly emotional. Have I fallen down, down low? Searching for things I'll never know. Searching for things you'll never show. I guess I just